Hey there. Good afternoon. I'm also introducing two more people which are on stage with me today. First of all, Micha Bitterli. Micha Bitterli is a partner at Deloitte, and he's also head of KYC for Deloitte. And I'm introducing Werner. I can't pronounce your last name, who is who's the project manager for the project KYX, which we are going to present today. But first of all, let me introduce myself a little bit. So I'm from Kilt Protocol. We just heard that. I'm the founder. I'm the CEO. And what is Kilt Protocol actually about? Kilt Protocol is a layer 1 blockchain, and it does only one thing. And this one thing is digital identity. In our case, also decentralized digital identity. Why is that important? Digital identity is very much broken in our world today. It is very much based on Facebook's and Google's, and those centralized providers hold your data, they sell your data, and they might lose your data even because they get hacked. This is a huge threat. And it is much worse than it was in the physical world. In the physical world, we had an identity which was based on our faces, on our fingerprints. And that was decentralized already. So we moved from a decentralized world into a centralized world with digitalization. And this is not good news. So I was not the only one who noticed that. There were hundreds of companies noticing that we actually do have an issue here. And they founded an organization called the Decentralized Identity Foundation in 2017. And from 2017 to 2022, we worked together on standardizing digital identity. Why is that important? Digital identity only can work if you first agree on how it looks like. So it's like a phone number. If every country has a cool idea about how the phone network works, then it will never W3C, which means that this is an internet standard and is going to prevail. Everything else you can forget about. So, and what is Kilt? Kilt is a blockchain implementation of DIDs and verifiable credentials. So this is what we basically do. Of course, we work nicely together with many, many blockchain projects, but we also think that this is not enough. We have to go outside into the non-blockchain world, because the non-blockchain world is also digital, and this world also needs identity. This is a bit unusual for a crypto project or for a blockchain project to actually take this endeavor to go out into the world and try to speak with those guys like from big companies. I think we have been quite successful in that in the last couple of years. And I think probably most interesting case that we have, a collaboration that is really a lot of fun and shows how the old world can work together with the blockchain world and create more value than anyone could have created alone, is the collaboration with Deloitte. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Micha, who I already introduced, and who is working on, or who's basically our partner in Deloitte.
Thank you, Ingø. It's great to be here in Bangalore. Stages get bigger, so I think that's a good thing. 6 months ago, or in June, we were announcing that we work together. 3 weeks ago, we actually went live with our product with verified credentials, which are banking standard, with our friends from Polymac, Kaspar, David, and so on. Great guys. And we will announce quite some projects in Q1, which will go live, where our certificate holders will be able to get access. So we went live. I can tell you it was a fight, but I think we did well at the end. But currently we're working on optimizing our systems so that in the next wave we get, we'll be even better in handling our customers. So verifiable credentials in banking standard is very interesting. I think especially in the decentralized finance, because everybody who has a Deloitte credential is a person you can do business with because it's a good person, right? And I think this is a perfect business case on how do you bring blockchain into Web2, into real business cases, right? But I think that's not enough. I think what we need is we need to have a project which really brings the power of the credentials on the ground, because I think we can do much, much more than just verifying that an isolated person is a good person. I think this has much more power in it, much more use cases. And that's what we actually do, and that's why we have Werner here. So introducing Werner is quite difficult because he has a very special function within Deloitte. He is a so-called fellow. While there are hundreds of partners like me in Deloitte, we only have 5 people in Europe which are fellows. These are people which take ownership of topics which are for the future or really important, right? And this man is not just working as I do, he's on a mission. And what he is doing is he will eliminate illicit trading from international delivery. And Werner will tell you how we do that. So please welcome Werner.
Thank you, Micha. Yes, I think we are one of the very fine use cases which developed out of this partnership between Micha and the Kilt blockchain protocol at the end of the day. And what we are doing is we are now putting together the financial streams of all the trade finance cycles of global transaction banks with the global freight and cargo operators. So we are matching what Micha described, what we developed in the financial service industry on knowing your client, KYC, with knowing your cargo, and combining knowing your client out of the banking world and knowing your cargo into one is the platform which we call KYX. And what is so dramatically different here is that we combine this information about ownership and about financial streams and about where the physical container is onto one platform. So we started a large joint venture with a global company producing track and trace devices called Nexiot, and we deployed more than 3.5 million containers with these little devices you can see on our background picture. That is a track and trace device that lives as long as the container lives, 8 to 10 years, and provides every minute concrete information on where the container is and whether container doors have been opened, whether the container has diverted from its route. And we match all that movement data with the data behind who's paying for the container that it's getting moved and who paid for the goods in the container and who's the beneficial owner of these goods which are inside the container. And this platform we brought to life. Now, we worked about 5 years on it. We just launched it 3 months ago, and introducing that partnership with Nexiot, and based on what Micha and his team has developed, we see the critical mass moving in the market. And what does it need for that critical mass to move? It needs an industry standard. So it needs someone like Deloitte with a global reach and a global span and with near government trust, because we are also a large audit company. And with that governmental trust which we have in the background, we are able to introduce large standards together with the World Shipping Council or with the Digital Container and Shipping Association, because standards are the basis of this entire movement to really take traction. Because without industry standards, this will go nowhere, and that is the basis of what we have created and what we have launched in the market. Micha?
Brilliant. So with that, we really do an impact that matters. if you think about a very easy example, so you have a chip producer sending chips to HP, right? So if we are able to say, okay, at, let's say, Intel, we put the chips into the container, we did a picture, we closed the container, we can monitor that the door is not opened throughout the entire travel, we can monitor that the container was always en route, right? So we know that these chips didn't go to Russia for whatever reason. We know nobody was open it and put whatever additionally into the container, right? This is very powerful. And if you bring KYC into that, saying, I know that Intel is a good counterparty, I know the receiver, let's say HP is a good counterparty, and all the people involved in the delivery are a good counterparty, then we can ensure that we can eliminate wrong behaving in shipping industry, which currently happens.
Yes, because as Micha outlined before, what are we fighting, or what is the goal for which we are stepping up? We are having two large goals. One goal is fighting illicit trade, and the other large goal is we are combating money laundering. So everything that happens under the roof of AML, we cover with this platform. Everything that is in the space of illicit trade, we cover in this platform. And the beauty about it is everything is done on one global platform, end to end, which will serve all the transparency acts of the supply chain. And we truly believe that, as I outlined before, without a standard and without one platform, this will never work, because you need one platform the industry buys into, because the different players will not buy into different platforms. They need a global span into which they buy into.
Brilliant. So what you see is, and we heard today a lot about blockchain and potential things you can do in blockchain, is what we did is the other way around. So we take real life problems. We want to solve the real life problems like illicit trading. And just to give you an idea, is today still 90% of international good transfer is overseas. We talk about 400 million container movements a year. So it's huge what's happening there. And then we go and say, okay, how can we solve this issue? And blockchain is a part of it. Blockchain is a very good technology, and I'm sure Ingo can tell more about this in a second. Great technology which solves very important issues, but not all of them. Right? There are certain things where blockchain is not the right answer, and that's why we're talking about the platform. So what we do as Deloitte, we build an ecosystem, which is on one side on the credentials, right, where we have an ecosystem of providers helping us to do the verification on a banking degree, but also verifiers using the certificates, right? So if you have a decentralized finance, or you need to know the identity of a person or to know that it is a good person, come and talk to me. Very easy to integrate. But we also have an ecosystem which goes then beyond that, like Nexiot, right? Because to monitor a container, you need physical devices. Kilt, right? You need infrastructure to do that. So it's very important that we start to build this ecosystem which is powerful, and we can do that. And that's also a reason why we are in India today, in Bangalore, because we are looking for further people joining our ecosystem. Yeah. Ingo?
Yeah, I think this is a very important point. So all the things that on the technology level that Deloitte built, you can build them yourself. So you can use the same platform, the same infrastructure, which is Kilt, which provides DIDs and verifiable credentials on a blockchain. You can use that, just like Deloitte did, and build your own business ideas on that. This is possible. So there's an SDK, just go to kilt.io, you find everything that you need. There's even developer relations if you need that. But normally there should be really good documentation, and you can start to build your own things, right? I think this is really important. And so it's not only that Kilt is built for huge companies, it's also built for the individual developer who wants to start a venture on top of that, or who just wants to play around with it. So please do that. But I think what we proved here is that not only the individual developer, but also big companies can start relying on blockchain technology. And this is, I think, very novel. You see some cases with NFTs or something around, but this is more, this very often comes from the marketing department. And what we do have here is that a global company sees a business opportunity, like KYC in the first place, and KYX in the next iteration, and says, we need to build something like that. And let's not move to Web 2 with it. Let's move basically from paper and stamps, if I may say that, to Web 3 directly, and use blockchain infrastructure to build our business on top. And this is what I think is new. It's not like we pay those guys that they use Kilt so that we have better marketing. They chose Kilt because they found it the best way to earn money, right? So, and this is the important thing. So, and this is what I think what we want to transport. You can do this as well. Maybe not in the scale that Deloitte can do, not today, maybe tomorrow. Build your businesses. There is a lot of things which are around identity, which are not directly KYX. But maybe, Micha, what you didn't really explain is what is the first project, the KYC project? How does it actually work? Why? So because many people think that Kilt is actually doing KYC. No, we're not. We are just an infrastructure. We do no KYC. But you can build KYC credentials on top of Kilt. And maybe you explain a little bit how this works, how everyone can actually use it. It's a product that you offer, right?
Sure. I mean, multiple people ask me, why is Deloitte here at a blockchain event? So I'm very happy to explain a little bit why we do that and why we came to the idea as Deloitte to do that. So if you look at the role of Deloitte and what we are famous for, sorry, we are not famous of building blockchains, but we are famous of doing audits, of doing attestations, being a trusted party which executes processes at a very high quality, right? So from a background, the team I'm leading is we do KYC reports for private banks in Switzerland. So very thick reports. I believe it to you if that is boring or very exciting. I think there are two angles to it. But we have built this tool stack which allows you to do an extremely in-depth due diligence on a private client and on companies. And for us it was somehow very easy to generate a credential out of this because we only need a part of that, and rather than putting it into a PDF report, we put it in a wallet which we based on the Sporen wallet. It's a little bit self-developed, but it's based on the Sporen wallet, and give the credentials into the wallet. So why do we do that? When we look at, especially in Europe, the lawmaking process is, and I think that's a good movement currently, is that we say the data of Micha Bitterli belongs to me. Right? It's my asset because it's me. And nobody should come and make money out of what's me. But that's exactly what happened. And that's what GDPR is doing, or tries to do, is to give me back control over my data. And with what we do with the credentials, and I think that's even in your white paper originally, as the main goal of Kilt is giving the control of the over data back to the person itself. Yeah? So what we're doing is, you come to Deloitte, it's kyc-credentials.com, also works, yeah? And you once show your passport, you do video identification, we verify all your data, and what you get is a product, which is a credential, which you get in your wallet. And the moment you have this in the wallet, you don't have to show your passport or whatever again to all the verifiers we have in our ecosystem. That's why it's so important that we have a big ecosystem. That's why we ask people to join our ecosystem to accept our wallet, right? By the way, it's free for verifier. It's a very little integration you have to do. But you don't need to share your date of birth and whatever information. You can just share, I'm above 18, because we have checked that you're above 18. And I think that's exactly, and that's, I think, why you work well together. This is exactly what you imagined when you started with Kilt, right? But as said, the use case is not only on Web3 applications, which is a natural starting point, and our first client is out of Web3, but it has so much more you can do with a credential. One is KYX, which I'm very happy that I'm part of this project, because I think it's fantastic. I mean, just to be on a stage and say, we are fighting against illicit trading, it's pretty cool, honestly. But it has so much more you can do. Imagine if you take a device and I can say, this is Micha's device, and I have a DID, and it's actually Micha who has bought it and who is using it. You have so much use cases you can do in the future, right? And I think there's a lot of people which have great ideas on what you can do with credentials, or they're not even aware that in their existing business, if you would add a credential, it gets much more powerful. And that's why we are also here on stage, to explain what it is. And the cool thing is, with our classic product, which is the due diligence report, which has 8 or 9 steps, I think. If you go to a client and explain that, very difficult to do. But that's the cool thing about the credential. It's something very easy, but very powerful. Yeah. I think KYX, I don't think that was an easy story to do, right? I think, Werner, you had to promote that quite a little bit, because people which are not working within the Big Four potentially don't know that the Big Four typically likes to have the money back in the same year, right? We always think with 1 year. I was fighting with that as well. Ingø knows, right? That's what I always said, and that's why it's so important what we do today. Is it takes a long time, and for people that would like to work with us, it takes quite a time till Deloitte starts to move. But in the moment we announce, then we deliver, which we have shown on the credential side. And I think you also had quite a journey to get something like this, which is big.
Yes, and to add in what Micha says is, once this tanker Deloitte starts moving, as we did, physically moving the ship, this project runs from the major European ports all the way to Singapore, across the Asia-Pacific routes, all the way to the US, right? So it's something what we started, and once you start and all the players start to buy into this platform and you start using utilities which we build on and around the platform, right? Then it's suddenly when it becomes interesting. And what Micha described with that wallet approach, the very interesting point is that once the wallet is established, that we can always reuse that wallet, right? So we always check, is the wallet still reusable? Is it still fresh to recycle? And then we have a very refined system of knowing how we can reuse it, where we can reuse it, and how to do that cross-border to 256 different countries around the globe on the match, what can you, what may you, and what must you exchange. So that's the beauty of what we created here.
Okay. I do something which I would hate personally, but I know, I was talking about ecosystems, right? Can you potentially just drop one or two names of your ecosystem besides Nexiot? Just that the people here to start to understand what magnitude it has and what companies work together, because I'm not sure if everybody knows Nexiot, which is outside of...
Well, Nexiot is the device supplier, right? But as said, we have 3 million devices up and running. It's the biggest IoT network in the freight and shipping industry currently, and a network that produces every minute data on shocks, on geo positions, on door opening, on container humidity, and so on. And Hapag-Lloyd is the first full fleet operator of Nexiot, and the other large shippers like MSC, Maersk are the same freight forwarders and vessel operators that follow onto the same standard. And of course, we have a large partnership also with Vodafone around the globe on the network itself, right? Because all of these devices are SIM card based, so that you have constant, instant messaging around the globe. And these are the players with the large 5 big transaction banks around the globe taking part in this, in the trade finance cycle, matching full digital trade finance cycles with cargo and freight movement.
Brilliant.
Yeah, thank you for that. I think we're running out of time, but I just wanted to say thank you very much for listening to us, and thanks for coming to India for presenting this and for presenting this project, because I think you will probably hear from this project later on quite a lot, and it might potentially be one of the biggest real-world adoption cases that crypto has ever seen, and I'm really proud to present that here in Bangalore to you, and I hope all the best and good luck to all of us to be successful in this thing. Thank you.